Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Scripting the Book. It's our book club where Natalie, Ben, and I read books and watch the adaptation that goes with it and then give our thoughts. And we have two guests today who have seen what we're doing today, Howl's Moving Castle. So I'm so excited to have our guest join us. Yes, she's got the copy. Oh my gosh, I love that copy. Look at that. What edition is that? That's gorgeous.
I don't know, but it has artwork for every single chapter heading.
Oh
That's the
my!
killer
I
one.
feel like I need to get this edition of the book.
And of course, the slime.
Oh my gosh, we will talk about that scene.
Yeah, that is the scene that always needs to be discussed.
Yes. So when we get to the combination discussion, there are some things to talk about when it comes to differences in the book and the movie. We're going to start with Laura, and then we'll let my regular co-hosts, Natalie and Ben, introduce themselves. But let's start with Laura and Kelli. Go ahead and take it away. Let the folks know who you are.
I'm Laura Nettles. Somewhere I have a book out. It's called Tiny Shivers. It is horror. I also have 2 short romances out under my pen name, Samantha R. Silverstone. Third one is up for pre-order. So, that's me.
Nice.
Hello, I am a woman of many names here on the internet. You can call me Kelli, but you will know me best for my writing as Veronica King. My debut novel, Down the Well, comes out December 5th. If you like portal fantasy, YA, and some trauma with your whimsy, chances are you will like my book. And this book also has some illustrations in it. Let me get to my favorite one that Nia has done. There it was. So there are fun illustrations in here, and Nia did such a great job with them. You can pre-order and register your pre-order, and you can get 4 stickers. I designed 8 in total, and they are stickers that are removable. So if you have commitment issues and you are afraid of putting the sticker somewhere, you can actually remove it and then put it somewhere else. So, pre-order. And then, of course, if you get the hardcover, there's an exclusive scene in that copy, as well as breadcrumbs for fandom things. If you like theorizing about stuff, you will find it on the hardcover. Other than that, I have a YouTube channel, Ink Study, where we meet 3 times a month. The first bit is writing-related content, where we talk about writing craft or tropes or just kind of the whole spectrum of everything that goes in with writing. Then mid-month check-in is something new that I'm doing, and that's whenever we kind of just check to see where we're at and if we're on track to meet our monthly goals. And then at the end of the month, we do monthly accountability, where we go over the sheet and see what we did or didn't accomplish. And I believe that is everything.
Wow. Busy.
Yes.
I am Ben Pick, and every Monday night on YouTube as Running to Write, I give questionable writing advice through running metaphors. I'm kind of I'll be having a live episode tomorrow. Wow. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. as usual, but I'm taking a slight break from the writing advice to talk more about, I'm actually going to be stepping on this show's toes a little bit and talking about a different adaptation, where it's my thoughts on the live action One Piece adaptation and how to do an adaptation well. So
Nice.
Check it out.
That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And our lovely Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie Locke. I am one half of Flash Fiction Live, where we air every Sunday at like 2 o'clock Eastern. My counterpart, Chandra Arthur, will be with me today at 2 o'clock on my channel, where we genre hop and try different challenges and just try to keep those creative juices flowing. I'm trying to talk to the mic. There we go. And for those of you who haven't figured out, I am a mom. My other one is playing Crash Bandicoot right now. And and I also have a full-time job. So those 2 things and writing all impede on my sleep. So it's a fun little ride.
Excellent.
Tell you what, moms, we're so good at juggling all of the things.
Yes.
We have to be.
I was cleaning during sprints today and cooking And then I actually, while I was running around just a second ago, I realized my son's breakfast is still sitting on a plate. I cleaned everything else, but the breakfast is still there.
That's okay. It happens. I've been there. I am Nia the Vixen Fiction. You're here on my channel. Everyone is linked below, so you can follow everybody on all their socials. And I stream here on Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. for Night Write, and also on Twitch in the middle of the day on Mondays and Fridays. So you can catch me there, and you can catch me on some of my friends' streams throughout the week on occasion. Other than that, I love reading books. And I love watching adaptations. There's something about seeing what someone has written and then seeing someone else take that and put that to film or animation of any kind, to see how someone else envisions what someone else created. So I absolutely love it. And I'm so glad I found some people who enjoy doing it as well and love to come here and talk with me about it, to all of you. So today we're going to talk about Howl's Moving Castle, which is something that I did not watch the movie before, but I had read the book. So, but I knew that the movie existed. It was like, it came out at an in-between time for me where I wasn't watching a lot of movies because I had a lot of kids. So it's one of those things I'm sure that they saw, because, you know, when you're cleaning and stuff and you put the kids down for a movie, but I'm like, how did I not see it? But I knew of it, and I knew of the illustrations and stuff. So you know what I mean? So we're going to ask everybody else, did you read it way back when? I'm just curious. Did anybody read it way back when?
Yes.
No? Laura? Kelli, did you read it way back when it came out? Or
So I watched the movie and then I had to go back and read the book, but I listened to the audiobook. There's a audiobook that is the author reading it. So that was like fun. But I read that as an adult, where as a kid or young adult is when I was first exposed to it through Studio Ghibli.
Gotcha. All right. So let's start here then. For this time around, did anybody dislike, neutral, like, or love on the book? Or I missed my DNF. Where is my DNF? Did anybody DNF? We'll start there. I had a DNF banner, but I might have accidentally deleted it. But did anybody DNF the book at all?
Nope.
That's good. No DNFs. So dislike, neutral, like, or love. Anybody a dislike? Neutral? Like on the book? I'm a like. And who loved the book? Yay!
I loved it.
Awesome. And we'll get into the whys on the likes versus the loves. So no DNFs. Let's go into our first initial thoughts. We'll go with the likes first. Why were we alike on the book? Okay, so when the book came out, I was already a little older. When did I read it? I think I was in my late 20s, maybe, I'm gonna date myself so bad because y'all like, but I was 12, and I'm like, I was not. So I was a little bit
out in
older.
86.
Yeah, it came out in 86.
Came out in 86. Okay, I don't feel like I read it until I got to college. I had to be maybe 20. Maybe I read it. I read it before I had my kids. How old was I? Yeah, probably around 20. So I was not little when I read it. I was probably 20-ish. So I was already kind of like feeling like, how this dude is a player. You know what I mean? So that's how I was reading it, but I did very much enjoy it. And all of that came back when I reread it the second time. I just remember that. But I was post high school. I know I was post high school when I read it. I don't know how. I don't remember how I came across it. It might have, I don't know how, but I do know that that's about when I read it. Pre-kids, but post-high school, that general area. How about, who was our other like?
Ben.
Ben.
Yeah.
And how about you? What made it a like for you?
Well, I was just going to comment on what you said. So the movie came out in 2004, so that might have inspired you to then go out and read it when it came out then.
Maybe so.
I was like, I I can definitely see why Studio Ghibli saw this book and thought, wow, we can definitely make an incredible movie out of it. I feel like the book itself is whimsical. It's fun. It's everything I want in a fantasy story. It just, I watched the movie first and then I read the book. So I'm kind of comparing the book to the movie. So if that's a little bit of a spoiler for what's to come, then, so be it. I just feel like there's a lot more in the book. So we get a lot more context. And there's a lot of things I do like that the book does that the movie doesn't. But I also feel like there is more that also detracts from the important part of the plot.
So you're just a like
yes.
for the book still?
Mhm.
Just the book, okay.
Yeah. I'll get into where I compare the book in my like, but I would say the book higher for me in the like department because I feel like it told a fuller story. There were some parts that got a little trippy, but I totally caught on with the sisters, basically the sisters and Howl and Michael. So I was following along. It was just a little bit like, wait, am I wrong? You know what I mean? Reading through that to make sure I've got it straight in my head about which sister is this Letty or is this Martha. So there was that, but I felt like it made the story fuller and richer. All of these little details, and I genuinely liked Sophie, and I wanted her to I wanted her to like kick Howl to the curb at times. I'm like, he's such a player. That's the age I was when I was reading this. I'm like, girl, get yourself another man. Find
He's a
way.
scrub.
Yes, he was a scrub. I was like, no. He is totally doing everybody wrong. He needs a reality check.
You're like, this
So
man needs to go flat on his face.
Yes. So that's how I was reading it, but I absolutely enjoyed it. It was very, like Ben was saying, the whimsy of it. I very much kind of pictured the castle the way that, like a castle, but once I saw the recreation of the castle, I can't go back. I can't go back and see it as a regular castle anymore. It is this cool contraption of a thing, and I absolutely love it. Like, I'm like, how did I ever see it as a castle before? And I'm like, it's not. It's that beautiful thing that we all got to see later in the movie. That's now when I was reading it, I picture that image. So I thoroughly enjoyed the reread, but Hal, man, my dude was a mess. Loved him, but I wanted to kick his butt many, many, many times. All right, so for our loves, we'll start with Laura, then Kelly, then Natalie. Why did we love it so much?
So, as a child,
That's what we ask.
the two books that introduced me to certain concepts of magic, like the Seven League Boots, was Howl's Moving Castle and the Two Princesses of Mamar. So it helped me with my foundation of fantasy knowledge. So it has a special place in my heart. Plus, I love all the whimsy and the magic, and it was just so cool. And the concept of a fire demon that's like a flame that's a face, like, it was so cool. And this may have also been part of the reason why I love, slight spoiler, the movie Frankenstein so much. So with that whole concept. But yeah, I don't know, I loved it. I still love it. It's just part nostalgia, part it's a fun fantasy. The only part that I didn't completely jive with this go around, I didn't even remember it from the first time I read it. I guess it's a slight spoiler. I'll say that for later.
Is it a spoiler to the movie?
No.
Is it a spoiler to the plot?
Kind of.
Okay, we'll save it for later. So we'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
it grew on me, so it jarred me. it jarred me. I was listening to part of the audiobook and I was like, am I listening to the wrong book for a second? And I was like, oh. So I picked this up and started reading it and I was like, no, it's the right book.
It's in there.
Wow. That's fun. That is fun. Things that you, when you read it the first time, that you would forget, and then you remember it. You're like, wait, where did that come from? Seriously. There's a part that was like that for me too. So we'll get to it when we get to comparisons. How about you, Kelly? Why did you love the book so much?
Well, I feel like it's a given, but I am such a slut for whimsy. So reading the book, I've definitely felt at home with the way the magic system worked. And the characters in the world that we were in. Obviously, there are some differences between the book and the movie whenever it comes to like the magic system and like the things that happen. But overall, it was the whimsy that sold me and just made me fall in love with it so much. I also really liked Sophie as a character in the book. Not that I didn't like her in the movie, because I do like her in the movie as well. But like in the book, I just felt like we got so much more. And I liked that moreness. The muchness. So between that and, of course, you know, like we've said before and reiterated, that the book does give more than what the movie gives. And that also just made me love the story even more because I got the moreness. So that's why I loved it.
Yeah. I love how much we really got to know Howl. I feel like we'll talk about that in when we get to comparisons.
Yeah.
Howl, especially Howl, is such a trip. But I really liked Michael. He's such just a young lad in love and trying to do things to make sure he stays on Howl's good side, which he does.
So those who don't know, Michael is a teenager in the book.
Yes. That's important to know.
It is. It is important. That's like, I think too, with like trying to stay on track and everything. I'm like, ooh, what all do I talk about with what I love? Because there are going to be
we'll get there quickly as soon as we get our last thoughts on the book. Natalie, how about you? You were also a love.
Yes. So I saw the movie first. Saw it multiple times. So it's definitely nostalgia for me of like part of, I wouldn't say part of childhood, because it was for me like I was in high school and going into college shortly thereafter. But then my kids, I shared Studio Ghibli with them and I got to watch it with them, which is why I have a half sleeve of different things from each film, where Calcifer's at the top, by the way.
I love me some Calcifer.
So,
I love Calcifer.
Yes, Calcifer's just sassy and I'm here for it. So the reason I love the book, though, is because it's like delving into the drive and the God, what's that correct word? The what is driving each character. It's delving into that and getting more behind the scenes. Yeah, like that's what I love about the book, is that it's kind of taking a story already and then peeling back the layers for me.
Yeah,
I thought it also had great foreshadowing in the book.
Yes,
and great returns to certain lines of phrases or imagery. Like you'll know Howl's in love when this happens, and then lo and behold, this happens, and it's like yes.
So what did you guys think of Diana Wynne-Jones's writing style?
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. There was only one time where I felt like I was watching or reading a like a chick teen romance novel, like kind of and it was when Hal said, "I brought your family here to help you feel better." Like as this whole like magical, I did something behind the scenes off page and here you go. Like that was the only aspect that made me think, like, am I reading a little like teeny bopper novel, like for romance? That was it. Everything else.
I mean, this also came out in 1986 too, so it's a different style of
those gestures were norm, right? For why you got to have those things. Look, this amazing thing I did for you. And his, what do you think about, trying to say it without being too spoilery of the plot until we get into later, but his treatment of Sophie while she's working with him, how did you guys like feel about all that? Like, I know one of the ones that bothered me was when Sophie is turned older. She's like 19, but she's turned into an old lady from a
Not by
curse.
Howl, by an evil witch.
By an
Yeah.
evil witch.
Witch
The
was-
witch of the witch of
Witch
the
of the
waste.
Waste.
I always want to say wicked witch of the west. Is the witch of the waste has turned Sophie, so she's gone to Howl to try and get help, but she can't tell him. So just the whole idea of him treating her the way that she's treated, do you feel like this is kind of like what he does to everyone when they come in, besides Calcifer?
Well, he treated Michael that way too.
Yes. Do you think that that's just his way until he warms up to them, or
Yeah.
is it just how he is?
Honestly, I don't remember much about him. Like, can you give a specific, like, what is he, standoffish or short in comments or ignoring? I can't remember.
Yeah, just very
he's
kind of
a
was
slither
patronizing
outer-
not
whenever-
nice, patron. Yeah.
He doesn't say, yes, you can stay. He doesn't say, no, you need to leave. He just goes about doing stuff and just doesn't really interact, and is just
Yeah. Okay.
like,
Yeah, I felt that was that's him.
Michael just said he
Yeah.
starts doing things and is like, I guess I can stay. Let me find a way to be helpful, until it just kind of becomes his role, and Sophie kind of becomes the housekeeper in a similar way. But because she's older, when she sees the Scarecrow, who's another like magical being that we learn about later, and she's startled and scared, and because she's older, when her heart does this thing, she doesn't know what's going on except for that she's old and maybe this is bad, and so Calcifer speeds up and starts running away to help her, because obviously this thing has scared her very, very much, and so they're trying to get away, but it is hard on Calcifer. Calcifer is just this ball of fire, the dying star, and Howl is really mean to her. Like, this is your fault. And Calcifer's like, I'll be fine. I just need to rest. And,
but he does help her with her heart in that moment.
Yes.
He's giving very Scorpio energy or a scorned cat.
Yeah. Like, I will help you, but I'm also going to fuss at you because you made him do this thing, even though he volunteered to do the thing. But
I thought it was warranted because he was scared that he was going to die. So he was scared, but he's also scared for her. So he's scared, but he's helping her at the same time. And so it was, I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
I feel like it was put in there to give us the first glimpse of that Calcifer and Howl are connected, and if something happens to one, something will happen to others. So that's the reason why. What are you showing them my phone for?
Yeah, so for her not to push Calcifer, even if Calcifer offers to help, it's detrimental. But I don't think she understood that, and perhaps he, in his a little bit harsh way, was like, "Look, this is serious." But he did help her, and Calcifer did get better, and then they did find out that the Scarecrow wasn't real.
Well, he also can't say that him and Calcifer are connected like that.
Yeah.
So she doesn't understand.
So that just comes off as anger.
Yeah.
Or self-preservation.
So I think that was definitely a good writing, storytelling idea, that nobody can actually say the thing. Calcifer knows that Sophie needs help. Sophie is going to try and help Calcifer, but nobody can actually say exactly what the thing is that they need, because it's part of the curse. So Sophie can't just say, "Look, Hal, this is the deal." Hal can't say, "Look, this is my deal." And
It's
you know,
like
so there's that intentional, we have to keep these secrets, that kind of keeps everything
Which
kinda
I
the
think
tension
is
going.
great approach, because usually there's the trope of miscommunication in all these stories, but here it's like, no, they seriously can't say it. And I fully accept that as a way to fall under this trope.
it is a good spin on the trope, because then you sprinkle some magic on that trope and then boom, it works.
Yes.
That's like the only way I enjoy that trope.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. I'm always like, just tell them, just have a conversation. People talk. But this way, you know, they can't talk. Things are going on. Howl's getting mad. Calcifer's, you know, very weakened. This is a problem. But Sophie also is old and she doesn't understand what's happening to her heart. She got scared, and, you know, Calcifer now is trying to help her. So you see how all of the pieces weave together. Because nobody can really say what the thing is. So that was really, again, a well done way of subverting that miscommunication trope. It's intentional miscommunication. Any other thoughts on the book before we move on to the movie?
I felt like all the characters were fleshed out well, even the side characters. Michael was fleshed out, her two sisters, her stepmother, and such. Like I thought they were fleshed out, and we had clear motives of each of them.
Yep.
I think the only one that fell to the wayside a little bit was Madame Sullivan.
I can see that.
Yeah, but everyone else, even the Witch of the Waste, was like, you could understand it a little bit.
Well, there was no Madame Sullivan. There was the Wizard Sullivan, and then there was the teacher witch lady.
Yeah. Which we'll get into that in a little bit.
Kind of merged in the movie.
Yeah, they're combined into, which is something that I feel we'll talk about it. It's something that a lot of times needs to happen. Yeah. So let's go ahead and move right on to the movie. Anybody a dislike on the movie? A neutral on the movie? A like on the movie? I am a like on the movie. And who? Oh, Kelli, where are you? You can be an in between.
No, I was getting ready because I thought you were going to be like, and the love. And then you were going to be like,
and the love. And the love. Raise those hands. Raise those hands. Awesome. All right. So, you guys, why do we love it so much?
No. Like first, honey.
Yes.
Okay. The things that I loved, and then the things that I didn't love so much. Okay. So I was a little bit confused because there's a lot of things going on in the backdrop that I'm like, it made me feel like, because I read it first, I'm like, did I miss this in the book?
The scarecrow reveal at the end.
The scarecrow reveal at the end. There was the full-blown war going on. I'm like, it really made me, like, in my head go, okay, I know it's been a while, because when we did this for scripting the book, I watched the movie first because I already read the book, but it had been a while. So I knew I was going to go back and reread the book. But I was like, was that bigger than I thought it was? So those were things that just kind of like they just threw me off at first, because I hadn't seen I feel like it might have been different if I'd have seen the movie like 10 years ago or something, but I didn't. So it was like mostly me. It was just tripping me up a little bit. Like, huh? Wait, what? The things that I loved, I already mentioned the reimagination of the castle. And I knew I was going to love that, because when I'd seen the images of the castle after I had read the book, and then the images for the movie had come out, and I saw the castle, I was like, oh, that's really, really cool. So I knew I was going to love that. And then these are things that just tripped me out. Okay, so I started out as a very, very high, like, bordering on love for the book anyway. So just the little things that kind of like took me out, just knocked it down just a little bit. So still solidly alike, but that he actually turned into a bird thing. Again, things that I was just like, huh? That just kind of like, you know what I mean? If you're not expecting it, it's just like, what is happening here? But things that I really enjoyed, I think I enjoyed Howl in the movie more. But I don't want to get into the comparisons because these are some really big comparisons that I have. But yeah, most of the things in the movie that knocked it down was that it was a conception that I had in my head that threw me off, or something that they added that I just was like trying to like, let me wrap my head around this because it's different from, I don't know where this came from. And then when I went back and reread, I was like, okay, I see where they're pulling this from. So yeah, so that's why I was like, there wasn't anything wrong with it, though. So yeah,
The beginning is very similar.
It kept me in the
to
like
the
zone.
book.
Huh?
The beginning is very similar to the book, and then it
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
yeah.
That does a little bit of its own thing here and there, but it still very much felt like it. So yeah, there was no question about any of that. How about my loves? Why do we love it so much?
Am I your
Natalie
love?
put me on the spot with that.
yay.
Like,
My childhood again. I flipping love Howl's Moving Castle. So the music is spectacular. The art style is magnificent. The voice acting is on point, and it's just such a cool experience. And I love the character designs. Like, even in the beginning, when she first turns into an old lady and she gets out of bed, she's the same height. Like, just little things are just so well done. I love the redesign of Calcifer, so he's not a big blue face the whole time, so that he's more whimsy. There's even more whimsy in the movie, where Michael is now Markle and a little kid, and my heart goes out to him every time he asks Sophie not to leave, that he loves her, and it's like, oh, I love you too, Markle. But and like his disguise with the big beard and the wheezes of the dog, like everything is just so whimsy. And I do love what they did with Howl, how they made him less of a womanizer, like outright courting people, and they gave him something to try and get out of that was a war. So but he was still doing it even though he didn't want to. So I did enjoy what they did with the character. Yeah. And his bedroom is stunning in the movie, with all of the paraphernalia and the glitters, and it beats the pants off of his dusty cobweb room in the book. So,
yes, that was a cool visual that they gave with
yeah.
his room. I was like, jewels everywhere.
Yeah, I also loved how they would have her revert in her sleep, so you could still get the young Sophie, old Sophie dynamic. So I thought that was really cool, and how they would switch with the voice actresses. So I just love what they did with it. It is different, and there's the whole bird aspect that I thought was really cool. But yeah, I don't know. I just love it. I'll stop gushing.
I also loved it for nostalgic purposes, I guess. So I watched the movie first because I was the target audience at the time that it came out in 2004. And I also always with anything Ghibli or Miyazaki, the animation style is just chef's kiss. 10 out of 10 stars every time. Like, one of my favorite like in the movie, one of my favorite visuals is whenever the Witch of the Waste becomes just gloopy. Like, I love the gloop. Like, it's so like unsettling, but like cool at the same time. And while this wasn't my first Ghibli film, it was one of the first ones that I shared with Logan whenever we got together, and they really liked it. And so also has like a special little piece of nostalgia there, but also with the characters, I feel very much like the way I look at it is almost like they're kind of different stories, but like if both people got the same prompt, but they did different things with it. That's how I feel.
Chandra and I got a Flash, and I went movie and she went book.
Yeah, like that's how I feel like looking at them. Like I love them both for very different reasons. And then some of the reasons do overlap. Like I did fall in love with the characters. But of course, obviously with the movie, you're getting all of the visuals and the beauty and the music tied into it. Of course, it's going to do things to the heart and make it flutter. But like I also watched Cinema Therapy because they recently did Sophie. They analyzed Sophie, and I liked how they were looking at it as like with the confidence, because like in the start of the movie, Sophie really isn't that confident, and then as the movie like goes, she starts taking on the attitude of like an older woman, where it's like I've been around, like I just don't care, like no fucks. And like she's getting more and more confident, and then like in those moments where she's confident, she kind of like you can see her, like how Laura was talking about, like how we get the Sophie young and Sophie old shifts back and forth. I think was a really cool visual. As someone with hyperphantasia, reading the book and then watching the movie, some of the things did overlap because I did watch the movie first, like the castle, Nia, like how you said, like that is just the castle now. Like I agree, that is just the castle now. But then there were other things in the book that like I was able to visualize that were different from the movie. So it's really cool, and I liked the perspective of looking at it as these two people got a prompt, they did this with it, and I love them both.
I like that.
Yeah. Hands down, this is my favorite Studio Ghibli movie.
I was going to ask that later, so there we go. Favorite
Fair enough.
Studio
Sorry.
Ghibli.
I actually just pulled up right now on all of the Studio Ghibli movies, and you have to go down 21 movies before they get below an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. So these are all like outstanding. These are wonderful. These are visually stunning. They are such well directed, so well acted, so well portrayed, and like Laura mentioned, the art is, every scene is beautiful, and of all of them, this one stands above as my favorite. So this is absolutely love. As far as visuals, I was stunned when we saw plenty of scenes, but the one that really sticks out to me when I was a kid was just watching Calcifer fall down out of the sky, and then you have this like trailing stardust coming off of him, and this magical elements going everywhere and just sparkling up and down the screen. And I mean, it was just amazing. And I also pulled up IMDb. So we have the English versions. We have Christian Bale, Blythe Danner, Emily Mortimer, Billy Crystal, and those are just some of the voice talents that lent their skills to this movie. So it is an all-star cast at the top of their game. But I mean, there's some spoilers. So a lot of the things that the movie did that makes me love it is they streamline certain story points. We've already mentioned that they combine certain characters, and the backdrop of the movie, like you said, I mean, if you're reading the book, you completely miss that there is a war in the background. But even within the movie, it is less important than what's actually going on within the characters. So this was just such a well put together movie that it is hands down, one that I actually used to introduce my wife to Studio Ghibli. I think it was either this one or Princess Mononoke, as the first one that we watched together. So,
oh my gosh, I'm loving these relationship ties with House Moving Castle. That is warming my heart. Y'all are really trying to push this one into a love for me.
I also always wanted that flower field. Like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's breathtaking.
There was a scene in Down the Well. It's one specific kind of flower, and it's just like a big field. But whenever I was writing it, I thought of the visual of the flower field.
I love that. Natalie, can you give why you were a love on this one?
Give me 2 seconds. Alex is trying to run the grocery list by me real quick.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, I talked more about the things that knocked it down from being the high like in into just a solid like. But definitely for me, the things that I did love that knocked it back up to a higher like for me were the artistic
Yes.
Yes.
perspective.
They also
that
streamlined.
castle, yes, that
They
castle.
streamlined all the dog characters into one dog.
I love the dog. Like one of my
Yes.
favorite scenes, honestly, and it's silly probably, but when she's heaving the dog up the
Up the
steps, I'm like,
stairs.
as a
Yes.
mom of 4 kids who've always had lots of pets, I'm like, I felt that deep within my soul. I'm like trying to like, come on, I'm tired too, but we're all gonna make it.
When it's pouring down rain, my 70-pound dog refuses to go outside, so I have to physically pick him up and walk him out.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. The
For
only
all
thing
things,
I
I feel like
didn't
that
like about the
excitement-
dog is
Mhm.
I like the little whiff, like type
Yeah.
thing, but at the same time, I didn't like it because the sound is very similar to when a dog is debarked,
Aw.
and that's that. It kind of hurts me to hear it every time a little bit,
Aw.
but I know that that was not their intent, and
Yeah.
and I mean, this dog had like practically bird legs. So, I mean, can we classify it as a dog situation? Maybe it could be how it sounds. So I try to distance myself, but at the same time, that's the sound that I think of every single time it barked. I'll jump into why I loved it. A lot of it was already named. The cast was on point, not just like big name stars, but big name stars who had the diversity and the inflections and such to pair with the facial features. Thank you. And then the musical score. I have Howl's Moving Castle, like the musical score on my phone, along with Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away. Like I got all of them. And if we're talking about big names, yeah, you named a few, but I mean, other Miyazaki films had Carrie Ells, Anne Hathaway, Tim Curry. I mean, we're talking some very established names here. Shia LaBeouf was in one as well. I know there's plenty
Taken
more.
too.
Huh?
The guy from Taken, drawn Qui-Gon Jinn.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, you're right. So the it's the cinematography, the casting, the music, and they are able to take a complex story, and the fact that they can make it enjoyable to not just children but adults too. It's what they were doing, what Pixar was trying to do to establish, and they were able to do it before Pixar really got established with Miyazaki films of these beautiful stories that are entertaining enough for children but complex enough for adults.
Yes.
I also
I
just
do. I love that it's something both children and adults could just get in and really, really enjoy. So Ben has already said that this was his favorite Ghibli. Where do you guys rank this on your Ghibli list of
Tied.
films?
Tied for number
Tied.
one.
It's
High,
tough.
but not number one. Okay.
What is your number one? If you don't mind my asking.
Yeah, Laura.
Huh?
What's your number
I
one?
said, what is your number one if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, no, this is probably my favorite. I haven't seen a whole lot. Like, it's more watching with, it's my brother's generation and my older kids more into it. But this, I would probably, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. How about you, Laura?
I love this one, but I also love Spirited Away.
Yes.
Okay.
That Spirited Away is my favorite. It was the first one I ever watched. Of course, I love all of them, but Spirited Away was my first, and then Howl's Moving Castle, like top 3.
Princess Mononoke was my first, so I got the Forest Spirits here at the bottom.
Kodamas.
Yeah, and they and it's funny because then I got my daughter into it, and she would call that movie The Bad Pig, since that's how it started out.
Yeah.
And so for nostalgia purposes, I guess that's the first one, but I honestly, I can't choose them. Like I even rope in some side ones in there, like Secret World of Arietti, because Miyazaki was not as involved, but it still had the elements there.
Mary and Just Flower is really good.
There was one, I think Marion Was Here, or that something was here. Marine was here or something like that. I forget the name. But it's a very there's some dark ones. Tales from Earthsea or Ponrosa.
Grave of Fireflies is an
Oh God, I've seen that
one's
twice, and I saw it the first time, it made me sad, and I was like, okay, maybe the second time I'll be okay. No, I wasn't. There's Castle in the Sky is a top one for me. Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle. God, I'm trying to think. Even some of the later, more obscure ones like Pom Poko was a good one. It took a little bit, a while for me to get used to the videography of that because the style is a little different. My Neighbors the Yamadas was a totally different style than
I
what I
love
was used to.
Totoro as well.
Oh yeah, and Totoro. Totoro is such a good one. And then more recently, Ponyo is a good one.
Yes, I like Ponyo.
Yes, and it's just there's so many, and it really like
Castle in the Sky.
yeah, I loved
Yeah, I like that one too.
Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind is one like I could go on forever. I'm going. Oh, the Cat Returns. And then Whisper of the Heart. I mean, like, I had a box set for a bit, and then I let someone borrow it like an idiot. So yeah, not going to do that one again. But if anybody is curious, by the way, most of the Miyazaki films are on HBO Max, English versions.
Yes.
If you want to watch them, some of the other ones are not on there, but the more popular ones. So you'll have Howl's, Kiki's Delivery Service. I am surprised you didn't name that one yet. Like they're on there.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on the sidetrack of listing everything.
That's okay.
But
I
you
would
just
say
if you're in a mood for a film, he probably has something that's going to fit it. Okay.
Yeah. I would say of the ones that I've probably have seen the most, probably Spirited Away. And I don't know if it's because I love it so much or if it's the one that my kids enjoyed the most, but that's probably, it's like I could, when they would put it on, I could watch that over and over and not be bored. Now that I've seen Howl's and I know the differences and I've gotten a chance to go back and read it, it's one that I definitely would enjoy watching it again. I can't believe that I had not sat down and fully watched it before and had only seen it like on the peripheral as my kids were watching. But Princess Mononoke, I also remember fondly. Spirited Away. There's another one. Is it? But yeah, those are the top ones that resonate with me.
If you're in Canada, all the Ghibli movies are on Netflix.
Nice. Get your Ghibli fix, everybody.
You guys
All
got
right,
help.
Or if you have a VPN.
I was gonna say, you guys got healthcare and all the movies on Netflix. Like jealous and American.
All right. So we have a few more minutes. Let's go ahead and let's get into our thoughts on all of it. You know what? We're gonna go right into full spoilers. All the differences.
Oh, differences.
Okay. I forgot the real world was in the book.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
With
Okay.
Rugby? I was like, am I listening to the wrong book? Like, wait, what? Oh my gosh.
Her reaction to real world. I'm like, wait, like there were things that were missing that I'm like, oh, I would have loved for that to have been, but it's fine.
They kept
It's fine.
the real world out of the movie, personally.
Mm-hmm. It's been way too confusing.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been. And like I said, it's one of those things I'm going to now that I've seen it and I'm used to it, I feel like I can go back to the movie and not be watching it like, wait a minute. What, you know what I mean? Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, that's there, but was that there? Wait a minute. You know what I mean? So now I can fully go back and rewatch the movie without, now that I know, I'm like, okay, we're straight kind of thing. Like maybe I needed to watch the movie twice, like after rereading it, watch it again. So I which is something I enjoyed the movie enough that I will be doing. So
I was just confused. Like, is it an alternate universe Earth because he studied charms, but it's in Wales? And there's
yes,
rugby?
Wales.
I kind of got that it's like every other Miyazaki, like Spirited Away, where you can kind of go into the woods and it's just like a portal fantasy right here, where you go from the real world into the world of whimsy and whatever fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was good for me, even though I feel like it gives me I got more of Howl's character in the book, but because we didn't get all of that Howl being such a player and stuff like that, we were told that he was, but we didn't see him really doing all that messing around. And he was so sweet to Sophie from the beginning when he has the first run in and where she's with the soldiers and he kind of like whisks her away and they have the whole thing floating over that was so fantasy YA that I was like, this Howl. He's a keeper.
This one is for me.
Yeah,
but
the movie
also
Howl is
that
actually like
Howl-
charismatic and
this
dashing and
That Howl was the one who wasn't wearing a suit when the slime happened and lost his towel. I was like, what the heck is happening?
The slime scene.
Oh
Like,
gosh.
But I'm kind of glad they kept that in of the slime.
yeah, I'm glad they
because,
kept
like,
that in.
there's a lot of key elements that they kept in on everything of like his meltdown and causes him to turn into slime. They did turn him in a little bit of like being, or not turning him in, but he was very vain, like when he's like, Sophie, what did you do to my hair and everything.
Yeah.
And
Otherwise, I don't think we'd get that. I don't think he would have gotten that from the movie, that he was very much into his looks, very vain, a little selfish. I think it comes across much better in the book, and it wouldn't have in the movie had it not been for that scene. So I think we needed that scene to be reminded, oh yeah, you are that same Howl. You almost
are
have me
flawed.
fooled.
Okay.
But
I still like you, but you are that guy still. I remember now.
I like that they didn't make him a womanizer in the movie, because in the book, I'm like, Sophie, why are you pining for him or being attracted to him when he's like going off and trying to court somebody who turns out to be your sister?
But he was talking to the sister about Sophie. He wasn't courting her.
There was that. But at the time, we didn't know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do love though how sorry, I had a thought and then it left. Whenever like coming back to the Wales discussion, whenever Hal's like, oh yeah, we're going to like this magical place, and then it's Wales and like our world and all that, and then in our world, he's like a deadbeat who needs to get a job and his family's like on him. But then in this other world, he is like this famed magician and so mysterious, and he eats hearts, and it's like
it makes bank from the king.
Yeah. It's like you can almost picture that's, I don't want to say some guy's fantasy or some girl's fantasy where they're like, you know, down on their luck. They're in the room and they either get to write or play a video game where they're this whole different person, and they've got if it's a video game, they've got all the points, they've got all of the gear, and you know, here in this game, I'm this awesome person. You know,
I thought it was
where I
funny
get to be myself and live my full life while in this game, kind of
the
thing.
video game
out here in the real world.
The video game he gave the kids was based off of the castle with the 4 doors. I was like, I see what you're doing there, sir.
I will say I do like that they kept the title the same, because sometimes they'll change titles between books and movies, and sometimes I agree with it, but other times I don't. This, I can't imagine it being called anything else.
Yeah,
exactly.
No.
Even though it didn't really seem like much of a castle in the movie. It is still, it works.
It does.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Well, it was preaching the same way Panya was.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, and I feel like it was very subtle here in Howl's Moving Castle, because with the anti-war messaging, it didn't feel like it. It just felt like it felt more like this is the backdrop, and you see the planes, and here, like at the end, of course, where they're at the end, that's a big change, the bombings and all of that stuff. So, but it didn't feel preachy.
Yeah, because the focus was with the war was the wizards and witches in the war. They were talking about how if they stay in their form of bird or whatever, they're going to no longer remember they're human, which is something that was from the book too. But like that was the focus in the dangers of war, not, which is in a way a metaphor of if you're fighting so long, you're going to forget your humanity. But of course, that's the deeper meaning for an adult. For a kid, it's, oh my God, they're going to be a bird and forget they're human.
Yeah. That was a good way to do it. I just needed to get used to Howl being a bird. I was like, okay, this is what we're doing.
I thought they changed up the world building a bit and had more technology and less 7 League boots. So that was an interesting tweak. So instead of having to like make League boots for the army, there's all of these plain type of mechanisms and things like that. Trains and
I still feel the story flowed and everything. Like as a kid, I was able to watch it, and never once was I like, oh. And actually, it wasn't until I rewatched it after reading the book that I realized I was like, oh, Howl has a bad reputation of eating hearts. So like that went over my head as a kid.
I liked how in the book Michael's like, I'm the one who spread the rumor that Howl eats hearts.
What do you think about Michael being significantly younger appearing in the movie?
It gave them the flexibility to remove the love interest triangle thing confusion, as well as it made Sophie more lovable when you see this character cling to her as like a matriarch figure and be like, don't leave us, and it created a strengthening to Sophie by him being a little bit younger and looking to her for keeping them together.
And how did you guys feel about the Witch of the Ways?
The design was fun.
Yeah. I still get a little confused after she gets her powers zapped and stuff. On like, I'm like, is she evil or what? Like, or is she oblivious? Like when she's smoking the cigar and stuff. Like I'm like, isn't that like a beacon of like bad, like a target? Hey, we're here, almost. As well as like when everything comes crashing down, she's just smoking, going, "This is fun."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's a pretty fire.
Like,
I'm like, are you
like
still being
she's aware because she's like, it's mine, and she's aware, but at the same time, she's also oblivious, and so I got confused on that part. But
with that, I just took. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, but changing in the book, she's supposed to be like super beautiful and like everything. And part of me is glad that they changed that, because then but at the same time, are we stigmatizing a body type of evil too? But also previous evils, it was someone super skinny too. Like, I don't know, I'm torn on what is supposed to be the embodiment of people.
Yeah. Here's where I feel like they kind of balanced that out, because in the book, Sophie was also old and skinny. As they talked about, one of the characters, I don't remember, I think it might have been Michael, who wraps his hands around her skinny body, and they almost mention it like that. So they also made her a more fuller, older lady. So they kind of balanced it out. So it's like not that we're even though Sophie constantly was saying that she was unattractive. Poor Sophie. Come on, girl.
But did change her bangs, and that helped a lot. Her bangs in the beginning are terrible.
They were pretty bad. Like, she's a hat maker, but she just kind of like chopped those bangs right off. Yeah.
It's just like really short little ones.
You just need a friend to be like, no, that's too short.
So I feel like in the book, it was explained why Sophie feels like she's not pretty, and it's because her sister Letty is so beautiful that she kind of is in her shadow. So therefore, I can understand book Sophie being like, I'm not pretty. It's because everyone would be like, hey, can you put in a good word for me for your sister when they would get close to her or something. Right. Whereas movie Sophie, we don't really know about Letty. And we
meet her in the bakery.
Yeah, we meet her in the bakery and we get the vibe with all everyone going, hey, Letty, you want to use my office? Hey, Letty, what do you need? Like constantly going, like wanting to take care of her. We get that vibe, but you don't make the connection that that's why Sophie doesn't feel attractive and doesn't think she's beautiful. You just don't. It's not as prominent. But in the book, it was kind of clear. Whereas in the movie, to me, it just feels like a trope of like, I don't know that I'm beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead because we're just hitting over the hour mark. What are our best and worst changes? I'll start it off. Best change, probably hands down. I love what they created the castle to be. I think that they took an original, beautiful, fantastical idea and just notched it up in a way that's just like, that is it. That's it. So for me, castle, hands down. I think in the movie, even though we get to see a more in-depth Howl with the way that he acted, I did like that they took away, we didn't have to watch him being a womanizer. And we just got to see all of those like really sweet moments where he peeks in and sees Sophie sleeping and the floating over the city. I think that makes you ship it almost immediately versus the other way around where you're like, Sophie, get your problem fixed and get away from this guy. So I think that those changes were good because they still, like I said, with his hair meltdown, we still got a little bit of that. Oh yeah, this is Howl's personality. So we were still able to get that. And condensing some of the storyline, I think that was a good choice. Because it would have just been a very convoluted seeing the same character and being like, which one's which? Is that Lottie? Is that, you know? So I think that just condensing the story was probably a good choice. How about you guys? Best, worst changes?
I like them both.
Laura's like, I'll take them both either way. All the changes worked.
Yeah, I feel similar.
But definitely the castle design.
Yeah, castle design is great. Like I said before, though, I definitely feel like if these two people were just given the same prompt and then they did something kind of similar, but also different in their own way, and I love them both for it.
I really liked Howl in the movie where he actually feels like a wizard. He doesn't like in the book. He's just so reactive and it's not indecisive, but he just doesn't feel like I would imagine a wizard should, or especially one of the few, most powerful wizards in the land that everybody's afraid of. He doesn't seem like that. Whereas in the movie, he is, he's your classic dashing rogue wizard archetype where he makes the movie. And even though it's all about Sophie, it's all about her journey, and she is the main character, he is a wonderful supporting character. And they bounce off each other so much better in the movie than they do in the book, at least in my opinion. And just, it's not really a best or worst change, but I really liked how in the book there was so much more magic in the world, whereas in the movie there's like 3 wizards total, and it's very, very, it's a finite resource almost, and you can see how much higher up they are than everyone else surrounding them and how everyone reveres them. And then in the book, it's basically, everybody can has some kind of magic in them.
But we also lost the big Howl Witch of the Waste battles.
True.
Yeah.
Movie.
But we got a lot more Howl in a war zone battle. So we still get that like action draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, definitely agree. I like both as they are. But I will say, Sophie as a character, she had autonomy in both, but it was like she was decisive in the book, whereas in the movie she just wandered into the waste and stumbled across the castle, whereas in the book it was, I'm going to go to Howl. Who cares? I'm old, so my heart's fine. He's not going to come at me because he only likes young hearts. Like, it was like, I'm going to do something about my situation. And I'm not sure which I like better about that, but there were elements of that with different choices. Like in the book, it was Calcifer's idea of, hey, put some wood near me. And so that way I don't constantly have to ask y'all for it. Whereas in the movie, it was Sophie did this for me. So they kind of created a difference, but that was the decisiveness to me is like, they showed it in different ways in the movie versus the book.
Yeah.
I liked how Sophie wasn't as scared of the witch after the curse in the movie. How she's just bantering with her, like, too bad I can't help you up these stairs unless you lift the curse.
What is that? You say you remember?
And can I just say, I know it's been said before, Calcifer, the change. So watching Calcifer get all warm and snuggy up on a log is just like the cutest thing ever. I really need to get a Calcifer.
She likes my spark.
Yes.
Who said fire demons can be cute?
He's so cool. I love it. And it's Billy Crystal. Like, yes.
I know, the voice was perfect. Like the whole cast.
That was really cool in the books too, how there were multiple fire demons. That was not something I was expecting.
Yeah.
I came at it from the movie first and then the book.
Yeah, that's one thing I enjoyed in the book because I didn't understand it from the movie. But when I watched the movie again, I understood it having the book. But that when a falling star lands, how freaked out they are because they know they can't survive and that whole thing. Like, that made sense.
The whispers of I don't want to die. It was like, oh my gosh.
Exactly. That made so much more sense now to how everything unfolded and how Calcifer came to be. Which then makes me argue about in the movie how Calcifer still is at the end. Despite not having a connection. But
magic. We need to keep Calcifer forever.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing. I will totally have Billy Crystal Calcifer any day.
Yes.
I did enjoy how Sophie was more magical in the book.
I did like that.
Yeah. I did like the castle, the revamped castle at the very end of the movie, though. Like they had a yard with grass and
it's flying.
Happy family.
Yeah, I like it.
You were gonna say, Ben?
As we get into final thoughts, I did want to ask you guys, what did you think about the I keep wanting to call him the Scarecrow, but what they call him? Turnip head. All of that, the reveal and all of that. How did you guys feel about that?
It's
rushed.
Yeah, go ahead.
It felt rushed, but again, it wasn't. It was something they needed to include because it was in the book and it was a major point in the book, and they just didn't have room for it in the movie, so they just kind of said, "Oh, well, you know, magic, and Wavium, and all is good in the world." But I mean, they introduced him early on, so you kind of knew that they had to be important somehow.
Yeah.
So it's not completely out of the blue. I thought it worked fine.
Yeah, I did kind of feel like at the end, it's not just the rushed of like, oh, it's the prince we were looking for all along, and he's been here the whole time. It was Chekhov's gun, practically. So, I mean, at least they stayed true to that. Yeah. But the thing that got me was he was woken up by true love's kiss, and then the Witch of the Waste was like, oh, well, looks like your true love loves someone else. And they pretty much agreed that after he goes home and into the war, he's gonna come back. Like that at the end of the movie, that's what they were saying. It was like he was gonna come back, like as if he has a chance with Sophie. And I'm like, Sophie doesn't love you like that, bro, okay? You gave her a walking stick and helped her with the laundry. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I really like the Frankensteining aspect of the multiple body parts in like different forms in the book. Where like you have parts of Wizard of Solomon and you have parts of Prince Justin, and like the skull was sold somewhere else. And I thought that was really cool. It was dark for a kid's book, but it was bloodless, and so it was more okay.
We read Coraline. We're fine with this one.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought that was really cool in the book, which would have been nice to have in the movie, but it was unnecessary. They did the hand wavy with the scarecrow, so I understand why they did that for time, but it would be cool to get an alternate version of the movie to see it animated with the fight and the Frankensteining. But yeah.
I will say I would never want a live action of this.
I was gonna ask, would you be down for a live action, or do you think that it needs to live as it is?
Let it be.
Touch it.
Who would you cast as old Sophie?
Julie
Leave it
Andrews.
alone. We don't even need to think about that.
Oh, okay.
It's like, not gonna happen.
Forever in animation. It's perfect. We don't need to touch it. The wheel works. Leave the wheel alone. Big studios, if you're watching this by some fucking slim chance, leave it alone.
But money.
You know, yeah.
I don't think Miyazaki.
No, I
would
feel like it
allow
fits with
Yeah,
Ghibli, and so I'm happy with it as it is. More usually, I'm like I do like more because I always want to. I like to see what other people envision, but I feel like this is good. This is good. Where it's
I
at.
just like with Miyazaki films, like there's the story up top, but if you go onto Reddit or whatever, such as in Spirited Away, that the lady Abba or Baba or whatever, where yeah, she's in charge of the ladies, not the bathhouse and stuff. If you go deeper into the story and what her name means and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh my god. But of course, as a kid, we don't know that.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about the Miyazaki stories. Like there's a deeper meaning. Okay, I'm done talking.
Any other final thoughts before we get into what's coming up next?
If you don't have time to read the book, at least give the movie a watch. It's worth it.
Absolutely.
It's worth it. Yeah, definitely worth it. It's something that I feel like it's good for the generationals too. So if you've got kids, adults, everybody trying to have something for a
Good family movie night.
It's a fun time.
Yeah,
it is. All right, so coming up, guys, we're going to be doing Dracula in October. So October 29th, we're going to read Dracula, watch Renfield, and any other Dracula movie that you have enjoyed and want to talk about. That's what we're going to do. Laura's going to come and join us for that. How many versions have you seen?
Well,
how many do you own?
How many do I own? I own all the Bela Lugosi. I have the Hammer horror with Christopher Lee. I have Renfield. I have Nosferatu, the Klaus Kinski version. I have the Gary Oldman. I don't even know how many else.
There's Dracula 3000. There's Dracula, the 3-part series on Netflix right now.
Dracula Untold.
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
That's the best one, by the way.
Yeah,
that's the best one. So we'll be back on the 29th. We will talk about the book Dracula, and we will talk about Renfield, and then I will let my guests talk about their favorites.
That new movie called The Dimitri, or The Last Voyage.
The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I watched it.
Yeah.
Wow. See, she's ready.
To be fair, that's included in the Netflix version, by the way. Most of it, at least. I don't know. I never saw the movie, but I know that they include it.
Yeah, it's in part 2 of the Dracula version.
And awesome. It's tangential. Castlevania. I mean, that's essentially
so good.
On Netflix.
Castlevania. Oh, it's my favorite one. Sorry.
Yes.
It's a good one.
Don't go blah blah blah.
Hotel Transylvania, Dracula, Dead and Loving It. Mel Brooks. Yeah.
So
A lot
I'm
to
excited.
look forward to for next month. Sorry.
Yes, lots to look forward to. Come have fun with us. Laura said if it takes 2 hours, we will be here for 2 hours.
It'll be fine.
Yes. All right. I'm gonna let we'll let our guests, our special guests, come and
There's
do their
also the
outros.
Nosferatu 1922.
Is that the one
silent
in
film?
black and white?
Yeah. Well, it was filmed in black and white, but then they color dye the cells so you can tell night and day.
Gotcha.
If you want, you can count Hellsing too. The
Oh,
anime.
Hellsing's fun.
Hellsing Ultimate. Yeah.
I watched the unabridged version.
All right, you guys, let's go ahead and do our outros. We'll start with our guests for today, Laura and Kelli, and then my cool co-hosts will do their outros. So go ahead and take it away, guys.
They are cool co-hosts.
They are cool co-hosts.
I'm Laura Nettles. I have a horror short story collection called Tiny Shivers. I have 2 contemporary romance short stories out under Samantha R. Silverstone. And I will be on Barrett's stream in about 40 minutes where we were going over my submission of chapter 1 of my middle grade horror Seeds of Doubt to see if it is query ready. So
Nice.
that's me.
Good luck.
Exciting.
Thanks.
All the luck, Laura. And as before, my name is Veronica King. I have a book coming out down the well December 5th. You can pre-order it now. Nia did beautiful illustrations. They're so cool and really I'm like flipping it and you only got a little bit, but they're in here and it makes the book even more magical and I absolutely love it. Pre-order and get the stickers, register the pre-order, all of the things. I have a YouTube channel. I'm sure it's linked below. And thank you so much, Nia, for having me on. I was so glad I got to join you on screen because it's been too long.
Yeah.
Even though you were just on with me in September, but like, you know.
And I am Ben Pick. Every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, I give questionable writing advice through running metaphors as Writing to Write on YouTube. But tomorrow is a special night, I guess. I'm changing up the topic. So if you like what we do here, check out tomorrow. I'll be doing kind of the same thing where I talk about One Piece live action Netflix adaptation.
Adaptations. What time?
7 p.m. Eastern.
There we go.
I only
I'm
got
Natalie
through the
Locke.
150 episodes.
It's 8 episodes on Netflix, so you can do that in a day.
Yeah. Easy.
Good work. I'm Natalie Locke. I write flash fiction, so therefore I hop along all genres, and really I'm kind of a mood writer, apparently, is what it comes down to. But I'm currently editing flashes, so if you need some sprints later, at about when you're in between watching Barrett's stream, you can also be on Flash Fiction Live. I'm totally fine you muting my stream and you watch theirs. Chandra will be with me and we'll be editing previous flashes, and then I will edit another flash that Chandra never has seen, as she writes based off the prompt. So fun to be had.
Nice.
I just
Awesome.
remembered another Dracula movie that I own.
Oh, which one?
Batman versus Dracula. It's animated.
Oh, you're kidding.
I have not seen that one.
There's also
oh my
The Batman episode where the Joker gets bit and robs a blood bank.
Oh, I think you told me about that one.
That one's fun.
There's also, I think it was in Blade Trinity, or was it Blade 2 that had Dracula?
I don't know.
But I want to say Dracula was in one of those.
So much to look forward to.
It's been
All right,
around
guys.
for a long
Yeah.
while.
It has. And there's so much to play with. Dracula is going to be a lot of fun. So we will see you guys next month for that. I will be here on Tuesday nights for scripting, or not I'll be here on Tuesday nights for writing sprints. At the end of the month, we'll be bringing back Author Tubers React. So we'll talk about some things that are going on in the writing and bookish community. And other than that, follow all these lovely people and come hang out and do all the things with them. We are going to say goodbye for now. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us while we did Howl's Moving Castle. Join us next time. Bye.
It was Blade Trinity.